I just kept on just helping, like no matter what. And still to this point, I don't care the price point or anything. I had to go to court for my clients, to just hearings and just fight for them. I don't care if I'm not making a single dime on this. I don't want to affect you, because at the end of the day, a lot of people just think about it as money. I really think about it as the person. Like I've closed $10,000 property all the way in Granbury, which is like 2 hours from me.
Welcome to our studio. I am here with Miguel García. He is a Texas realtor. Miguel, thank you so much for joining us today. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Miguel García. I am a real estate agent with Bradford Elite, and my office is located in Rockwall, Texas.
Miguel, tell us a little bit about you. People want to know where you are now, what is success to you, what families do you help? How did you start it into real estate?
I'm originally from San Luis Potosí, Mexico, and I came here like 11 years ago. Honestly, I never even planned to be a real estate agent. This kind of just like fell in my lap. I came here just from a dishwasher to a cook to construction, pretty much everything, until one day I actually fell down a 12-foot ladder and I broke my arm.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Yeah. And after that, I really didn't know what I was going to do. And I didn't have a job because of that. And on January 2020, my son was born, and I also passed my real estate license. So we originally planned to go to Mexico for maybe a month. But because of COVID, we ended up staying there for like 6 months or so. So obviously I was really scared. I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do? Mm-hmm. I need to get something
you need to figure something out.
Yes.
You need more income. You need income.
Yes, exactly. And we ended up coming back, and God is so good. And they normally say that your typical realtor closes, I think, 3 or 4 their first year. I started in August, and I just kept on just helping, like no matter what. And still to this point, I don't care the price point or anything, but I actually ended up closing 18 properties of just referrals and everything, without not knowing anything about the business in 4 months.
I mean, I do have to say I've done a few transactions with you, and it has been a pleasant experience because you know your stuff. When I get some of your clients, I know that you're going to fight for them. I know that you're going to fight for them to get the home that they want, that they need. You will fight for seller credits. I do see that in most of your transactions. You literally try to help them in saving the very last penny. I mean, we just recently had a client where the client, you took a break, right, from real estate for a few months, and your client was working with another team.
Yes.
All of a sudden you called me and you asked me about the client, and I said, well, I haven't heard from them. You tell me they're under contract. Tell me the story of how that client came to you and the amount of money that they took to the closing table.
So basically how happened is he was pretty much just concerned. He had contacted me a while, but he was already working with another real estate agent. And I don't like, to take anybody's lead or anything. And, I told him, just give him a chance, whoever you're working with. It's really hard for us as real estate agents, since this is how we make money. Mm-hmm. So I did tell him several times, but he did call me kind of just worried. He's like, I don't know what to do. Like, they're asking for so much money. And I told him, okay, you know what? Clearly the other realtor really doesn't care. Based on what he was telling them, like, okay, well, I'm gonna go ahead and help you out. So that's when I contact you. We showed him, several homes. He ended up bringing 0.00 to the closing table.
Yeah. So he was with another lender, with another realtor. And even though, and this is important, you were not his realtor. No. I know he closed with another realtor because you took a break from real estate for a few months. Family comes first, and you were still paying attention to your client.
Yes.
And so Miguel called me and he said, I know you can help them. I know you can help them save money on the rate and the closing cost. And his client closed on his home. I was able to get him a grant, a regular grant. It wasn't a state grant. So he can sell or refinance tomorrow if he wants to. He came to the closing with $0. I think he actually got a refund on a portion of the earnest money because of the type of program that we were able to find your client.
Yep.
And I do want to mention again, he ended up closing with another realtor, but you were still there for him, guiding him and watching for him. I mean, you saved him $8,000 because he was about to go and close with another lender. The other lender was going to, his cash to close was around $8,000. I was able to take him to the closing table with $0.
Yep.
So, like I said, you were still there with your clients. Tell me, what was the experience when you started working with clients initially?
Well, obviously, you know, as a first-time realtor, you know, I didn't know what to do. Everything was like just really new, and you know, the laws are very different from here in Mexico. However, my first client ever, he was actually a friend of mine, which I listed his house, and the buyer was one of his friends, which I wasn't representing him at the time. However, it was COVID, and a week before, my friend calls me and he's like, "Hey, Miguel, he just lost his job." I'm like, "Oh no." And then he told me, I need your help. And I'm like, "Well, I can definitely try." He has another realtor, but he told me, well, he works at this company. And luckily I've always had a great and amazing relationship with this other company. And I made a few phone calls and I got the buyer his job back, and we ended up closing on his side, even though I wasn't representing him. So that was my first deal ever. And after that, it's just been all about my client. The amount of times that I guess I haven't been given a good service, it has been really crazy. So for me, it's never been really like, hey, you know, I don't care if you tell me like, hey, my budget's $1 million. If I can get you the same house that you want or even less, I'll go ahead and do that.
Right.
Like the client comes first. Mm-hmm. And that's how we actually met. A few years ago, I had a client that I have showed him so many homes, and probably like, I want to say 80 homes. And it was really hard because the amount that he was approved for, wasn't like a huge amount. It was very small. So in order to find that, it was really hard. And that's when I came to you, where 5 lenders couldn't get him approved, and you were the only one who got him approved. Mm-hmm. It was one after another. And that's where I'm like, I was a little bit concerned. I even told you, like, you know, this is my job. I defend my clients. So I was like skeptical of like, getting a new lender. And then I explained you the whole situation, and we ended up closing with him. And I think he didn't bring us much either.
No, he didn't. One of the things that we do here at the office, I do have an amazing team. I couldn't do it without them. But if I tell you that I can get them to the closing table, I will get them to the closing table. So I don't just overpromise and underdeliver in special circumstances. Like if they lose their job or something tragic happens out of my control, then unfortunately, then we don't make it to the closing table. And I remember our conversation, I was like, Miguel, I can take him to the closing table. Like, I know. And you were, because you were like, Gracie, like, we've been through so much. And I was like, we will close on this loan. Trust me. Sometimes time is of the essence in real estate. And I remember having this conversation with you. We can't really rush the process because I have a system. I have a system in order. For me, when I get a hard condition on a file and my team is like, what are we going to do? And I'm like, I need some time. Like, let me think about it. Let me dream about it. And some 1 or 2 days later, I'm like, oh, I found a solution, right? I will never present you a problem without the solution. Yep. I tell you, here's the problem, here's what we have, but here's what we will do so that we get the buyer to the closing table. Yep. Now, what is in the future for Miguel Garcia?
I guess just the same as always. Just I've always been a positive person, and based. I mean, just because of this the same situation, I always want to make sure that I put myself in the position of my clients. Like I even had a deal going on last year where I put them under contract in January 2023. That whole situation lasted a whole year, and I had to go with to court for my clients to just hearings and just fight for them. I went through all the these lawyers that they were representing the seller. So a lot of people really don't see what we do at the back end. And it was just fighting after fighting after fighting with different lawyers. It ended up that we actually won the case for my clients. However, because it took so long, in 2023, the heat wave was just like really, really bad. All the foundation was just completely destroyed. And they told me like, hey, Miguel, what do you think we should do? Even though I worked like crazy, I told him I wouldn't do it if I were you. Like, I don't care if I'm not making a single dime on this. I don't want to affect you.
Yeah.
So we ended up not going with that house. And because they know that I really do care about them, they actually contacted me like 2 months after that. And we got an amazing house and we still put it under contract and everything. So that's how I always want to present myself like that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be your typical realtor. It's like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and show you 3 houses and that's it. I'm done with you. No, I actually want to be there for you. Like, even to this point, like, I have so many clients that are now friends because I want them to feel like that.
Right.
I don't want them to feel alone. Like, obviously, sometimes I can't answer at that moment, but I will return the phone call.
Yeah.
So I've been through so many situations. I think I've closed maybe over 160 homes or more. But I'm always going to be there present fighting for my clients. Like, even last year, I think it was, 2 years ago, I like saved so much to go ahead and take my family to Europe for a whole month. And I had a client that we were going to go ahead and do the sell of their house and then their buy of the house. It was just a complete mess. While I was over there, I literally spent the day with my family, and at nighttime until 2, 3 a.m., I was working on everything because, again, the buyer side did not have a competent realtor. I went in there and actually saved him, the buyer, again, even though I wasn't representing him. I was there fighting for him and everything. And then he ended up, at the end, just reaching back out to me.
Yeah.
So that's what I always tried to do, because at the end of the day, a lot of people just think about it as money. I really think about it as the person. Like, I've closed $10,000 property all the way in Granbury, which is like 2 hours from here. So it's always going to be like my client comes first. And I know a lot of people I have shown that to them.
Yeah.
From not showing them like only 4 or 5 houses, I've shown them like 50 houses, and then just making sure that, hey, this is the correct one. I'm not going to go ahead and oversell you something that's not, because at the end of the day, it is my reputation, and I want to make sure that I give you a good service, because I never want to fall down like in any of the wrong. And that's why I've been really grateful. I've never had anything below 5 stars.
Yes. Let's talk about that. Are you building a team?
Not yet.
Not yet.
No. I was maybe thinking about it one day, but I'm like, I've been on a team before, and I feel like it would be too much to manage. I've actually mentor a lot of realtors, and thank God, like, most of them I've had
teach
them
classes.
Yes, or I mentor, like, I had mentor in the past, like, people like just so they can succeed.
Yes.
The realtors have come to me, because I know a lot of realtors, they do not, they don't have the time, or they just don't want to help out. And I've had many realtors that come up to me and tell me like, hey, what can I do? And now they're like selling over $1 million every month and everything.
That's awesome.
It's they have a saying in Mexico. It's like el sol sale para todos.
Yeah.
So it means the sun is out for everybody. So I'm not gonna be like, oh no, like this, selfish or envious guy. Like, I always try and help out no matter what I can do.
That's the way I am. I have a lot of friends and that are loan officers there as well, and I get along with all of them. Yeah. I mean, sometimes I just want to talk to them and say, hey, like, this is happening to me. Like, what do I do? And so I think it's important for you to think that way. Yes. So you teach classes, you mentor, and you are at a new brokerage, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So I just came to that brokerage. I was actually one of the first ones in there. So it's been really good. It's been really great. Throughout the months that I took off, they've been extremely supportive. Really supportive on everything that I've been going through. But now they know that, obviously it was just temporarily.
Right.
So, and it's still going on, but now I'm just like focusing more, and they're like, well, this is the Miguel we wanted.
Yes.
I've been always like with a smile and everything, and that was very unusual in me. But now, they love seeing me back at the office.
Yes, we want you back.
Yes. So I'm definitely back. And I'm going to try and just help out as many people as I can. Like, it's amazing to know like how these months I just completely like stopped working. However, people kept reaching out to me. Obviously, like some of them were like, hey, is everything okay? Clients from the past, and still a lot of clients gave me business, and I've been closing a few, maybe like 2 or 3 every month, and that's without me focusing 100% on looking for more referrals or anything. I've been focusing on my clients, but not like to go and look out. So now I'm to the point that people start coming to me, thank God.
But that's when you know that you're real, right?
Yeah.
We have a lot of social media power, and people think that, we make it look easy, right? We make it look easy.
Yeah.
We only show I only show what I want my audience to see, but we're not perfect. And you taking a few, days or weeks out of being 110% into real estate, that's life.
Yeah.
We all go through situations like that. But then you come back stronger, right?
Yeah.
Because this is what you want to do. Like, this is your career. You're not, 20% in, you're not 50% in, you don't have another job. This is your career, and you take it serious, and life happens, right? There is a balance and imbalance. It's just hard. Real estate in general is hard. People think it's easy. We make it look easy, but it's not, it's not.
Yeah. Just like last year, because I've always been like a strong believer. Like, I want to spend genuine time with my kids, and even I brought my kids with you on a few closings.
I've been to a closings, and he had his 2 kids with him. Yes,
and somehow it was really hard. Like, I'm not gonna it was super hard, just because here you are with a baby under 2, and then my son and everything. Either changing diapers and everything, and I still, in those 4 months that I was with my daughter, while I was taking care of pretty much all the house chores and everything. I still ended up closing like maybe 15 people, even though I had my daughter with me like most of the time.
Yeah.
And that's how I know, like, okay, you know what? I know I can do more. So I do tend to focus a lot. It's not like, oh, like just like you said, a lot of people like do balance. I just like, for me, I've always thought about it. Okay, I want to be 100% on everything. But if I can't do it, I'll go ahead and send, like, these months, I'll go ahead and send somebody else.
Yeah.
And now it's like, okay, I want to make sure that I do it, because I just want to make sure I'm present there. And I've never thought about like, hey, the sale or anything. We just closed one with Arturo, which he was going through some health problems, and he called me. He was urgently needing a house. And I did tell him, listen, Arturo, like, I know you want a house, and I would love to go ahead and sell you a house. However, I really want you to focus on your health right now. I want to make sure that you're okay. Like, we can forget about the house right now. We can definitely go ahead and just think about you for your family and everything. And he was really worried. So, I love to have like that support, them to feel supported.
Yeah.
Because, again, we're not perfect. Like you said, we go through so many problems. A lot of, I show a lot of my problems all the time on social media, like,
which
for
is
the
good
years.
Because then you're real, you're not hiding anything. And that's who they get, to help them. Yeah.
And that's when Arturo said, like, well, and thank you so much, Miguel. I don't know what happened. I guess just God did his thing. We found an amazing house. Like, it was literally out of nowhere. It was the first one we saw, which it really never happens. I've probably just had two people like that throughout these whole years. And it was good. We got him a good amount of seller's concessions and everything. We went on the closing table, and I asked him, we had a conversation. I asked him about his health and everything. Turns out that he's perfectly fine.
Oh, that's awesome.
So he was just really worried, and I just told him, just stress can really, really bring you down. And I told him, believe me, I know about stress.
Yeah.
So it ended up, he got a house. he got really good news from the doctor and everything. So it ended up working for everybody.
Yeah. Well, I thank you very much for your time.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else that you want your audience to know about you? How can they contact you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, literally, you guys can call me at 469-478-8967. A lot of people do follow me on social media as well, so they already have me there. And then just, as you know, I literally do work all over DFW and surroundings.
Yeah,
so
he does.
So whatever you guys need, don't be afraid about like, oh, you know, if it's gonna be too low of a price point or whatever. Believe me, I don't care about the price point. I really just care about like having the best interest for you guys. And a lot of you clients that already follow me know that that's what I show. I'm not gonna go ahead and just sell you the first thing that you see.
Well, thank you,
Yeah.
and I wish you a great 2025. I know that we're at the last quarter of 2024, so much success to you.
Thank you so much, Gracie.